All right, what you're looking inside of is a Channel Master Super Fringe. I showed you the inside the other day. Now I've recapped this radio. It worked really good. It has a broken case. I had to make a battery tube to hold the batteries, and I used it. I put it away, and I didn't put it in the cellar or any place bad. It's upstairs here in a room, and I got it out. And that you see that square box with the four screws on top? That's the tuning capacitor. That's not a part that you can buy. The plates are rubbing. So something has gotten inside the capacitor, or it's got silver mica disease, or in between the plates there's a real thin piece of plastic that is broken. Or it could be something I don't know. Now, the elephant in the room with a lot of these old radios, besides there's really nothing to listen to. The other thing is you got to constantly fix them because the capacitors from China, the yellow ones, which I use, I notice some of them go shorted. They're just sitting there. Just sitting there. You go to turn the radio on, it don't work. You troubleshoot back to a yellow capacitor made in China. Now, I was watching a video, and Shango had bags of these things from a guy's estate. And he says, I don't like these capacitors. They just short. And I like, there we go. All right, so you have all these old radios. You've done the work. You put them away. You pull one out, and it's just bad. And you now have to go in there and fix it again. And that really aggravates me. And it's like having a fleet of old cars. And I had a friend. He had three cars, and we used to call it the fleet. And he was always working on one of them. He goes, man, it's never ending. You know, once something gets old, it's like me. I'm old. Things just start breaking down. And I picked this radio up. I put the batteries in. I wanted to sit down. I shut off all my computers. I like to use a radio on batteries because there's less likely smart meter noise or noise from the neighbor's solar system. There's all kinds of RF noises that are now on the AC line. There could be digital switching getting on from the cable company's underground wires. I don't know, but the AC line is very dirty. So I put batteries in. I'm sitting there. I'm going to go up the dial, just poking around, and I every time I'm turning the thing. I'm going, what am I, volume control? No, the main tuning capacitor. What you see, it's four section. The only way you're going to get one of those is off another donor radio. And I had a donor radio to fix this one, and that one the guy was really smart on eBay. He didn't let you see how the batteries ran all through the radio. All right, so that's what's going on. Now I met a guy yesterday at Walmart, and he's a vendor. He puts up Bibles, believe it or not. And I got talking to him, and he's very into computers and stuff. But he says he went to the yard sale where my back went out. I said, well, anyway, he buys up monitors and stuff. And when one of them goes bad, he just wheels the bad one out of the way and puts another one on. And he goes right back to work. He's running, he said, Windows 7. And I told him make a copy of some type of Linux system and put it on a thumbnail drive. I was giving him some of my ideas just in case something goes wrong. But he just says, at some point, you just draw the line on something. It's not worth doing. That's how he has a certain amount of time and money on something when it just gets thrown out. Because I said, some of those monitors, when you open the back up, there's a light strip. And you pull the light strip out, and you change it, and you can fix the monitor. He goes, he says, I get them for $2 at the yard sale, which I got one for $5. And he's absolutely right. And I'm starting to think that way. Like this thing, I'll just verify that tuning cap is bad. I might save this for parts. But it's sad. It's just sad. I'm rebuilding stuff that's going to go bad just sitting in the room because the parts that are made, they're junk. So you're taking out bad parts that are 50 years old and putting in brand new parts that might only last 3 years just sitting there. The capacitor is just suddenly short. I don't know if it's the way they wind the capacitor they wind it too tight, and after a while it pulls through. I don't know why they fail, but that's what's going on with me. And I just want to tell you, right now this is set up on top of the upside down National NC National 170, 173, 137. Well, anyway, I was able, believe it or not, I need a felt pad on the bottom of the radio. One of them's missing, but here, I don't know if this will be in focus, but you can get at Walmart, you can get felt pads. They're little round discs. You cut them up and you can replace your felt pads on the bottom. But, you know, I being a repairman at heart, born a repairman, when this radio started crackling, I knew it's in the tuning cap. And now I think I have to verify why. See, that's in my mind too, because it could be just a tiny piece of solder that dropped in there, you know. I don't know, but you want to know why it fails. Now, I probably should keep this radio just for the germanium transistors, the special tuning, the special coil that synchronizes with the long ferrite rod, because it's a long distance radio, and there's a coil. The capacitor goes, that tuning cap goes to the big long ferrite rod. It also goes to a secondary, after the amp, it goes to a secondary coil, so that the front end is tuned, and then it goes to another one by the mixer, and then one of the sections goes to the oscillator. So, you know, and even in the old days, you could not get that capacitor in the store. You'd have to go, what the hell is the name of it? I always forget the name of the stupid company. Channel Master. So anyway, you'd have to write them, and they'd maybe sell you a capacitor, and you'd put it in there. But cost effectively, it's just better to buy another radio with all the rigmarole. And that's what I wanted to tell you. I said, you know, even when you know how to fix things, there comes a point where, you know, the joy is in fixing it and then using it, if you do use it. But then when you go to use it, some part you put in it has failed. And now you got to find that part again. And then in the back of your mind, you go, how many of these capacitors are going to keep failing? And that's the question at this point. Now, I got a whole room full of radios that have been repaired, restored. And certain things in the radio, like the volume control, will get scratchy. And a lot of people spray it. You only make it worse. You're only going to make it worse. It's going to work great for a few days. And then 6 months later, when you pull that radio out, that volume control might not work at all. And when you open up the inside and look at it, it's black. And I bought radios on eBay where somebody sprayed that would be the band switch. And I showed you, I had to go in that band switch every day and clean maybe 4 or 5 contacts and work my way along, and it all started working. But what happens over a period of time, that copper in all those contacts, it's going to go black again, you know, over like 5-6 years, and then you're gonna have to put the radio on and wiggle it back and forth. And a lot of people, they just spray it again, and that's the problem with old, I would say, tube stuff. Is a lot of the selector switches, they're brass or tin-plated brass and sometimes copper, and it goes bad. And you're like in there again. And we had a TV set one time, and my father would bring it out, and he would clean the tuner. And I would clean it with an eraser, and it'd be good for like 6 months, because he would spray it with that stuff. And it would go bad. And he had a habit of, it was in the living room, it's not second floor, but it's up from the basement. If you stomped your foot on the living room floor, it would jiggle the tuner, and it would work, because it's very high impedance connections. Well, my father would be late at night, he'd be watching TV, and I'd be trying to sleep, and I hear him slamming his foot on the floor of the living room, and he wouldn't even know he was doing it. And I'd come out, he woke me up, I said, will you stop doing that? He, doing what? Doing what? That's how my father was. He was oblivious to some of the things he would do. And you pointed out to him, he just didn't remember doing it. But anyway, that's the thing. So I would take the TV set out, and I take the tuner. And the tuner had little snap-in modules. And one time the channel 5 went bad, and he's showing me it's broken. I said, put 6 there and retune it. He's just staring at me. I said, no, channel 6 and 5 are right on top of each other. Look at the part number on that module. It's the same as the 6 is the same as 5. So he couldn't believe it. I said, look, in frequency, some of the channels are really close to each other. That's the weird thing about television. They used bands that they had open. So you had VHF and high VHF, low VHF and high VHF. And so after channel 6, it would be high. I believe it was high after 6. And one time I said, just move the module. I was in high school. Move the module. He goes, ooh, that fixed it. He's a TV repair guy. But he never put any thought into anything. I'm always thinking, how does that work? What can I do? And I just think repairs all the time. And now this guy pointed out to me, like at some point, you have to draw the line, money or your time, and reducing frustration. But I pulled this radio out of the box. I had it stored nicely. I put some batteries in, and as soon as you turn the dial to make it move, and it's making crackle noise, you're like, well, am I turning the volume control by mistake? And no, it's okay. So we now know that these tuning caps can go bad. Now we know on the tube ones, if someone dropped something into the radio, which they used to do in the old days, they would bend the plates. And if it was an All-American 5 radio, that was one of the things that got messed up. People would go in and play make-believe. So you straighten the plates out so they didn't touch. And then you had to fix the speaker because little kids while eating breakfast would stick the fork into the speaker. Volume controls would go bad. And then the filter capacitor on radios. I used to pull them out of the garbage, and every one of them needed a filter cap. So you put a filter cap in, now you find out the volume control is bad, or the speaker has gotten a fork through it. You know, little kids, when they sit at the breakfast table or whatever, I guess they get jealous of the radio. It's on, their mother's not talking to them. I don't know what the psychological reason is, but you see fork, and you say, well, how do you know it's fork? Well, there's 4 holes in parallel, in straight line sequence in the speaker in several places. Right? That's a fork went in there. That's how I know. All right. So yeah, I just want to tell you, yeah, it's even me. I can repair stuff, but you know, I put it away, I bring it out, and I want to use it, and it don't work. And I just needed it. I have a radio that works on batteries. That's real good. It's digital, but that's my radio for emergencies. And I said, let me use one of my channel masters. I have a channel master. Take some C batteries, put it in there, turn it on, go up and down the dial real slow. Verify any station using the digital radio. No. All right, that's it.